Angel Reese, 22. All right. What is one of the worst rankings I've ever seen?
In case you're wondering, Angel Reese, still not good from the field. Chicago Sky players are thrilled that Angel Reese is gone, making it pretty obvious she was viewed as a locker room cancer.
ESPN has just dropped a shocking bombshell on Angel Reese's career, and the fallout is already massive across the WNBA. This is not just another ranking or opinion list, it is a brutal reality check that completely reshapes how her impact is being viewed. What they revealed has sparked confusion, outrage, and serious questions about her true standing in the league.
ESPN! You can't make this stuff up.
ESPN has done something that makes Angel Reese's world fall apart. Yes, the WNBA player list has assembled, and the face of the league, Angel Reese, is not among the top 10, 15, or even 20 players. You heard that right, because the Barbie Angel is sitting on number 22, all because she has more things to do than to focus on her game.
That is in and around. I think this might be a bit low for Angel, but like within a couple of spots. I think within a couple of spots, Angel Reese 22, and EC is a higher than her.
After all the hype, assessed through all the media build up around her, Anne, seeing her outside the top 20 feels less like a ranking and more like a quiet correction nobody wanted to say out loud. She is still getting treated like a headline player in the media, but when you actually get to the basketball evaluation, ESPN just slid her into a category that looks a lot closer to a strong role player than a franchise centerpiece. That gap between perception and ranking is where the real story starts.
Might violate the Geneva Convention. Angel, I mean this. If you ever watch Angel Reese's averages against the Sparks for her career are something like 18 and 19. It's something stupid like that.
And the funniest part is how quiet the face of the league conversation has suddenly become after seeing number 22. It is almost like ESPN looked at all the headlines, all the branding, all the marketing push, and then calmly said, "That is cute," before dropping her right outside the top 20. Even the analyst is keeping her on the borderline of 20 only. At that point, it is not even a snub anymore. It is just the rankings politely declining the storyline. The league can keep the marketing if it wants, but the list basically treated it like an over-edited trailer that did not match the actual movie.
So ESPN just ranked the 50 best WNBA players this season, and it was disrespectful. It was flat out disrespectful to one Caitlin Clark.
But if you think that was enough, ESPN did a silly thing to put Caitlin on number 10 in a prediction ranking.
Nearly every decision since then has not worked out.
So what exactly are we predicting here? That she's going to forget how to play? That she's suddenly going to stop touching the ball? Or are we quietly assuming she's going to get injured because that's honestly the only scenario where this makes sense? If Caitlin Clark is healthy, there is no version of reality where she's outside the top 5. None.
That the stats that we have chosen to use, in fact, punish people that are high usage and benefits people that don't have the ball in their hands. It literally, it says so, I'm paraphrasing.
In basketball, the best players usually have the ball the most. That's kind of the point. But in ESPN's version of reality, the more you do, the worse you look. If you score too much, there's a problem. Meanwhile, if you barely touch the ball, congratulations, you're efficient. That's like criticizing a chef for cooking too much while praising the guy who brought napkins.
Based on these metrics, role players will perform better than stars. Like, it was a bunch of random stats, like stuff we'd never heard of. Like, what the fuck was a Raptor win? I know Raptor is a stat, but it's like, you know, in advanced stats where there are 100 different advanced stats, they picked 5 random ones that Caitlin Clark was bad in and put the 5 of those in.
And the stats they used are not even the standard ones people actually trust. Just a random mix of advanced metrics, all conveniently aligned to push Clark down the list. It's not analysis, it's selective storytelling. You pick 5 stats where someone looks bad, ignore everything else, and suddenly you've built a case.
There's a difference between being snubbed on a list and a list being made where you're like, I actually don't know if these people watch basketball. Like, there's a big difference. And let's never forget ESPN making up analytics to rank Caitlin Clark as low as possible.
So Clark at 10 isn't surprising anymore. It's predictable, because the system is designed to get you there. But then you scroll down the list and somehow it gets even messier.
It's a weird one there, but like there's a bunch of players that I didn't even realize didn't make the list. And some players that got like, it's not even like snubbed.
This is confusing. You've got players being called top backups and then ranked like they're core pieces, which is impressive because those are completely different roles. You can't be a backup and a cornerstone at the same time. That's not versatility, it's a contradiction.
Some reason Jewel Lloyd is better than Sonia Citron. Jewel Lloyd genuinely looked like she forgot how to play basketball till the playoffs last year.
And it keeps happening. Players showing up on the list who haven't performed at that level, while others who are clearly trending up just vanish. No explanation, no consistency. Just a mix of reputation, guesswork, and whatever fits the narrative. At that point, you're not even debating rankings anymore. You're just trying to figure out the logic.
You guys get the point. This is just a whole bunch of bullshit. A whole bunch of nonsense.
And the answer is, there isn't one. And right in the middle of all of that is Angel Reese. After all the hype, after all the media push, after all the comparisons and headlines, they just told you the truth without realizing it. And at the same time, they're still trying to hold Caitlin Clark down using a system that punishes the very thing that makes her great. That's why this list feels off. Not because of one ranking, not because of 2 or 3 mistakes, but because the entire structure is built on something that doesn't reflect reality.
Why is Marina Mabry over Veronica Burton? Like, there are so many things that don't make sense.
This isn't about who's better anymore. It's about who fits the story they want to tell. And right now, that story is falling apart. And just when you think the list can't get any worse, you check who didn't make it. That's when it stops being funny and starts looking like a group project where nobody did the reading. Dominique Malonga. Not 50 or 49, not even honorable mention. This is a projected all-star, a top-tier prospect who's already shown she can hang with elite players. But sure, leave her off completely. Makes perfect sense if the goal is to ignore the trajectory.
Cole McCanny not being on this list is wild. It is wild. It is absolutely wild.
Aaliyah Edwards is also missing, which is impressive, considering she's actually been playing well. Strong, unrivaled run, solid preseason, clear role going into the season. She's not fighting for minutes, she's getting them, but apparently that's not enough. You'd think being good at basketball would help. Guess not. Then McCarty, one of the best defensive guards in the league. The kind of player coaches actually trust in real games is completely absent.
But yeah, Brittany Griner, Nalissa Smith are in it. And that's not even a knock on Nalissa Smith. She's never going to be an all-star. But if that's fine, she's going to have a couple of good years.
So now there's a pattern. If you're trending up, impactful, or actually relevant to winning basketball, but not part of the narrative, you're out. But if you've got a recognizable name or some leftover hype, welcome to the list. And that brings us to who did make it, which somehow makes things worse. Alyssa Smith at 48 is a perfect start if the goal was confusion. She has improved, sure, but top 50? That is generous in the same way calling a regular coffee artisanal is generous. She has never really played at that level consistently, yet here she is ranked like a core piece, while better, more impactful players are nowhere to be found. That already sets the tone for the list.
Who the fuck is going to play point guard if is Isabel Bourlais going to come on and play point guard? No. Jordan Canada's clearly the starting point guard. Is Angel Reese starting point guard?
And then you see Naz Hillman and Erica Wheeler included, and you start to wonder if the criteria was basketball ability or just names we recognize. Because nothing about those placements screams current dominance or even clear upside. It feels more like someone opened a roster sheet, closed their eyes, and started selecting. Jordan Canada might be the most unintentionally funny part. ESPN calls her a top backup point guard, then ranks her as if she were a foundational player. That is like calling someone a substitute teacher and then listing them as principal. And just to make it better, she is actually starting, so even their own explanation does not match reality.
ESPN has Brittany Griner listed as a top 50 player in the WNBA. Brittany Griner can't move up and down the court more than 6 consecutive times before she's out of breath and needs to sit down.
Brittany Griner's placement feels more like a tribute than a ranking. It is less about what you are doing now and more about remembering when. Which is fine if this were a highlight reel, but this is supposed to be a current evaluation. Then you go position by position, and it gets even looser. Cardoso over Iriafen is based on potential that is still waiting for its moment. Satu over Neka ignores consistency entirely. Mabry over Burton rewards scoring and politely ignores defense. Dijonai over Fibrick feels like someone just preferred highlights over actual impact.
Yo, they got Erica Wheeler better than Leonie Feebish? Yo, cut it the fuck out. Please, 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 please. Cut it out.
And right in the middle of this logic experiment sits Angel Reese at 22, defined mainly by rebounding. Not top 20, not close to the face of the league talk. Just quietly placed in the role player category, while the narrative somewhere else keeps pretending she is a superstar. They didn't say it outright, but they didn't need to. They just told you exactly what she is without realizing it.
How is Caitlin Clark co-favorite to win MVP? Yet she's ranked 10th overall. This is crazy.
This all comes down to one clear divide between stars and role players, and it is not complicated. Stars are the ones who control the game, carry the offense, and drive everything their team does. And right now, that description fits Caitlin Clark more than anyone else. Role players, on the other hand, provide support and complementary skills, which is where Angel Reese lands based on ESPN's own logic. The problem is that ESPN tries to flatten this gap using selective analytics because controversy generates attention. This list is less about real basketball and more about engagement. And in trying to downplay Clark, ESPN actually proved her importance. Then, combine these clips.